Welcome to part 7 of our special report. Our next question is, how much involvement will I have with the property once the loan is made? Except in the extremely rare case of a repossession, none at all. Think about it. Is your bank responsible for keeping your house in good repair? Does your banker pay your utility bills or show your house to potential buyers when you want to sell? In fact, has your banker ever even looked at your home? The answer is no, and the same holds true when you are acting as the bank for another person. In fact, one of the most wonderful things about being a private mortgage lender is that you get the safety and returns of owning real estate without any of the liability. If you were the owner of the same investment property, you could be sued if a tenant fell down and hurt himself, or a contractor was hurt on the job, or if local officials decided that the property had lead paint contamination or didn't meet legal codes. As a lender, you are not liable for any of these potential problems. And if your borrower happens to run into one, guess what? He still has to pay you on time and in full every month. Another question, what if I need my money back before the end of the loan term? Many new private lenders worry that they'll tie up their capital in a mortgage for several years, then suddenly have a need for cash. But again, this is rarely a problem. Mortgages are more liquid than you think. You have several options that effectively turn your mortgage into cash in a relatively short period of time. These include, give the borrower a small discount for paying off early. Most real estate investors use more than one private lender and also have access to bank loans when necessary. And most will happily take advantage of those resources in return for a small discount on the loan balance. If a borrower owes you $50,000 on a loan he's had with you for 3 years, he'll probably be willing to pay it off early if you'll agree to take $47,500. And remember, you've been collecting interest payments for 36 months, which means you are not losing money on this transaction. You're simply accepting lower overall yield in return for the convenience of an earlier than agreed payoff. You could also sell your mortgage to another private lender. Remember when you bought your own home? In all likelihood, you borrowed money from a particular lender, then received a notice several months later that you were to send payments to a different company altogether. That's because your bank sold your mortgage to another bank or investor. It happens all the time. In the course of a 30-year term, your mortgage might be sold 10 or 20 different times. Most private lenders like to keep as much of their capital working for them as possible, which means that there's also a market for existing private mortgage loans among individuals who have more money than they have deals. Imagine a private lender who's recently received a payoff on a mortgage and has $100,000 in cash sitting around waiting for the next deal. He can wait for one of his investor borrowers to find another property, or he can buy your existing mortgage for cash and avoid the wait. There is an enormous market in buying and selling private mortgages. In fact, there are some people who do nothing except buy existing seasoned mortgages. You can also sell part of your mortgage to another private lender. If your need for cash can be satisfied without getting the entire mortgage balance back, you can also sell just a portion of the payment stream to another investor. It works like this. You have a private mortgage with an original balance of $100,000 and a balance due of $95,000 at 8% interest. You need $25,000 cash for an emergency cruise around the world. If you sell the entire mortgage or ask the borrower to pay off early, you'll lose the 8% return on the entire $95,000 balance, and you only need $25,000. So instead of selling the entire mortgage, you sell the next 39 payments on the mortgage for $25,000 cash. Your buyer receives the payments that you would have gotten during that time, $729 a month, or a total of $28,427 for a return of 8% on his $25,000. Your borrower doesn't care. He just keeps making the same payment he always did, just to another person at another address. And when the 39 months is over, you go right back to receiving the payments on the balance. And always keep in mind that since your average borrower will need your money for 5 years or less, and many will sell the property and pay you off before the end of the loan term, you'll rarely have to wait too long for the mortgage loan to expire naturally anyway. This concludes part 7 of our special report on private lending. Good stuff, huh? Be sure to view the 8th and final segment, which focuses on the integration of private mortgage lending into your existing retirement planning and the potential for the generation of tax-free income.